Hey guys, it's Lumon, and today I actually have another endgame video on MD1 with Rosalyn. This isn't the Rosalyn video you were probably expecting, because in this video, after I go over the team build and how it works, I'm actually gonna dig into why I feel like Rosalyn is just overrated, really. So, team build wise, right, you obviously have Rosalyn, the two leads, and very powerful, of course, once you get to the final form, but it's very difficult to get to the final form. So as for my subs, they just cover the mechanics and, barely make it through, adding enough skill boosts and enough effective skill boosts and things like that to get the team going and transforming. So Rosalyn, lead and helper, both fully SDR'd to block the delay. Then you have Dual Master Sonia, she's actually such an amazing sub because she is a natural VDP 37C. Like, she's an amazing damage stick, and not only that, but she also carries a really awesome 3-turn fusion active on herself, which is really nice for MD1 because you need that 3-turn fusion to get through the gauntlet of Kana and Australis, and then you can use that 3-turn fusion to get through Blue Albert's latter half, right? So she's an absolutely amazing card. She even has a Takoyaki to boost the team-wide damage as well. Overall, fantastic card. I think, honestly, when I first reviewed her on the collab debut in NA, I underestimated her. I didn't see her value for Rosalyn. Like, she just seemed a little underwhelming. But then I think about it in actual practice and in the end game of today, and I realized with Rosalyn, she's absolutely fantastic. Just amazing. I mean, that's my bad, but I think she's an amazing card. So if you got one of her and you have Rosalyn, I'm sure you're like, hey, this is great. This is amazing for Rosalyn. So yeah. Okay, next up we have Dante. So Dante is probably my secret tech for the dungeon. What's amazing about him, right, is that he pairs with Bright Trailo to cover all the cleric type stuff, right? His active clears binds and awoken binds, and then Trailo actually clears the unmatchables, right? And separating the two actually provides a distinct advantage because there are two spawns in the middle of the dungeon that could potentially throw out a awoken bind and an unmatchable back to back. And if you kill them too fast with one traditional cleric, your active will not be back up. So having them split like this is actually pretty advantageous because it's like, well, guess what? I can split them up and use one on this spawn and one on the other spawn. The spawns I'm talking about are Takami Musubi and Kami Musubi, right? Because Takami Musubi preemptive awoken bind and Kami Musubi is preemptive unmatchable. And so having Dante to cover one and Bright Trailo to cover the other is very nice because your actors are on different timings. They're not linked on one cooldown. Dante is also an amazing damage stick. And the reason why I call him my secret tech, my secret sauce, is because he has a ton of devil damage, right? And the one spawn that gives many teams fits in terms of damage is Dark Albert, right? Because he's literally a damage check. You deal 90 billion damage in 7 turns or you die. That's it, right? Dante, with his triple 7C and triple devil killer, he damage caps on not only his main attribute but also his sub attribute. So although he can't take on the cap breaker latent, he can definitely act as a pseudo double cap, which is quite interesting to me. And his active is pretty fantastic too. That's why I included him in, but he does have his flaws. His transform timing is really awkward because he's on 18 turn transform, whereas Rosalyn is on 12 for her first one. And then he doesn't provide anything else besides 2 skill boosts. And while the 2 skill boosts were pretty revolutionary back in the day because, transform cards having skill boosts were ridiculous, now it's like, I mean, you're expected to have bindable and SVR and everything, so yeah, he's great, but he definitely has his flaws too. It's not like he was easy to fit in. Alright, I talked about Bright Trailo, who not only covers Unmatchable, but also covers the time and recovery debuffs. It's just, I think the pairing between the two, Dante and Trailo, it's just a match made in heaven. It feels really good having them separated like this. So yeah, I was pretty enamored with it, but it was difficult to fit in because there are a lot of constraints on skill boosts, and then trying to fit in delays and stuff. It was definitely not the most fun for various reasons. Now, moving on, we have our last sub, Beach Denebola, right? Now, originally, I was planning to use Amanita, right? The flower, I think her name is Shuri, right? The problem with Shuri is that Shuri's shield is not enough to tank hits, I think. Like, there was a reason why I couldn't use her. It ended up becoming really awkward in the end. So I just decided to go with Denebola. I think she was the better option in the end anyway, because Denebola, she can cap, right? She can damage cap with Rosalyn and her boost, but Shuri has a bit of a harder time. Now, that being said though, Shuri definitely isn't without her advantages. Shuri, she creates heal orbs, enough heal orbs to match a combo, right? That's actually really important because let's say you encounter like a full board or like a situation where you have no heals, she gives you a heal combo. Not only that, she gives you a heal TPA, which you can match to take advantage of Shuri's heal TPAs. Whereas Beach Denebola is like, she creates all these orbs, but it's not really the most helpful thing in the world. The only real advantage is that her cooldown is lower, but that doesn't really feel like the biggest advantage in the world. Now, the inherit on Beach Denebola is actually the farmable, I say farmable, the metal exchangeable General Tamuramaro card. It's the assist evolution of Honoko Shindo, and it's honestly really amazing for a lot of reasons. I use it as a shield to tank Eshamali's preempt, right? Because if you're playing 7x6, Eshamali, who tries to do a board expand, will encounter your big board and say, okay, I can't expand your board, I will hit you for a fat preempt, and that fat preempt will kill me if I don't have a shield. Because Eshamali's preempt is a preempt, right, I have to use it on the floor before, right, regardless of if I get Eshamali or not, right? However, if I get Kana, right, which means I didn't need the shield per se, what ends up happening is that I need to pop Dual Master Sonia, right? I need to pop Sonia for the Fujin to get past Kana's Fujin shield. The amazing thing is, because Sonia doesn't create any healers for me at all, I can't recover, but that's where General Tamuramaro, right, Shindo card, comes in with the auto heal effect and actually heals me automatically, allowing me to comfortably tank Australise's preempt on the next turn. So it's just a really nice card that covers a lot of bases, more than I even realized until I started running the dungeon. Now, I kind of talked about the team, and you know, the reason why I say I'm frustrated with Rosalyn is because a lot of the times you need to kind of stall to get your transforms up, right? And because of how transforms work with double transform and stuff like that, stalling and buying extra turns for transforming has become pretty essential to team builds, right? The thing is that Rosalyn is super damage oriented, and it makes sense, right? Because Takoyaki, ever since their inception, have been the highest potential damage awakening in the game, right? It can stack so fast and it multiplies so quickly. My thing is though, it's just too much damage, and because it's so much damage, it feels really inconsistent when I'm trying to stall. Because guess what? If you Skyfall one extra red combo, you might deal too much damage and kill off something you're not supposed to. And when that happens, it's extremely frustrating because one, that one Skyfall just screwed you on a 99 stam, and two, it's extremely likely to happen because of Rosalyn's first transform Skyfall buff effect. I wish it didn't have that Skyfall buff effect. I really do. It feels so, like, I hate it so much. And it's not, like, look, more orbs, generally a good thing, but with Rosalyn, it just doesn't feel like it. Like, it feels so frustrating to deal with. I think if they were to buff Rosalyn, the way you would do it is you would just add a no Skyfall clause to the middle form. If you add no Skyfall to the middle transform, Rosalyn would become so much more consistent. Like, unbelievably consistent, I think. Like, maybe not crazy consistent, but I feel like it would improve her so much as a lead for just quality of life purposes. So, I don't know. That's how I feel about it, but it's just she's very frustrating, right? Like, just trying to stall her out. It's why I don't really like her too much. Like, she is powerful. Remember, I do say that Takoyaki and 7Z, 10Z, all that stuff, it comes down to becoming the most, highest potential damage awakening in the game, right? Because it just stacks so fast, stacks so much, it's easy to stack. It's like if Rose could stack really quickly. Like, if you get into the damage math, you'll realize that Takoyaki has two factors, right? Two multiplying factors. Whereas Rose, while they do have two multiplying factors, it's more scaled towards one end, right? And so Takoyaki, because of the two multiplying factors, will increase exponentially depending on which factor you increase. If you increase both, then it just shoots up. The damage just spikes up straight into the sky, and she's really OP. And it's not a bad thing, right? Like, damage is a very important consideration in today's endgame. Everything's oriented around damage, right? Like, we have bosses with 100 million HP. No, not 100 million. 100 million is like 5 years ago. We have 100 billion HP. We have 90 billion HP. We got mid-dungeon spawns with 20 billion HP. Like, these numbers are just staggering and ridiculous. And if you can't deal enough damage, you're probably screwed, especially with the anti-cheese stuff that they put in, where if you try to cheese and you stall too long, you're just dead. I don't know. It's really rough. And Rosalyn is fantastic in just dealing a lot of damage, which is what the meta is requiring, right? But I just wish it was more accessible, like you can access it a little bit better. I really hate this Skyfall and die, I don't know. But when I play a lead, right? Yes, I like damage. I like power. Like I specifically included Dante so that I didn't have to bring a full shield to tank Dark Albert's attack, right? Most teams, to deal with Dark Albert, since they can't deal 90 billion damage in 7 turns, they bring a full shield and tank it, so they buy an extra 7 turns. This team doesn't really need to do that, because guess what? Dante and the rest of this team will output enough damage to kill Dark Albert comfortably, I feel. But if I can't get to the boss consistently, I'm just not going to see Dark Albert. Like, there's no point, And I feel like it's just an inherent flaw of the league. Now, maybe it's just my frustration. Maybe my team build is just built like this, to be inconsistent. I've noticed that I have these peculiarities when I team build. I like aesthetic team builds. Like, whenever I team build, I always opt for full resist, but no more. So if the team has 120% jammer resist, I instinctively dislike it. And it doesn't make any sense. Like, there's no reason for me to dislike it. It just has no logic whatsoever. Sometimes you put on this OP equip and you have 20% extra jammer resist. Fine, it happens. But for me, it bothers the heck out of me. So all my team builds are like perfectly 100% jammer, 100% blind, 100% poison, right? It is what it is, right? That being said, I don't know. It just... building with Rosalyn just frustrated me to no end. It was just... maybe I'm just flawed as a team builder, but I'm sure you can make it more consistent to get Rosalyn up to her final form much more easily. But it still doesn't feel that great, in my opinion. So, yeah, it is what it is, I think. Now, that being said, I really enjoyed the team. I think that it's really cool when I dug out Dante from the depths of my box. Let me put it this way. I haven't used them since something where it required me to put a VDP latent on Dante. I have no idea when that was, but the fact that I put a VDP latent on Dante, that does not... that sounds like some very, very weird stuff. So, yeah, I'm just glad I could use him. It's like I don't really use him, and so I dig him out and say, hey, he's pretty cool. He's really interesting. He's good for multiple roles, and so I'm just gonna use him. And his cooldown is amazing. He feels like Alina, but without the unmatchable. And keep in mind, Alina before the buff, she was the same as Dante, where you had a transform. Admittedly, her cooldown was better. She had better pre-transform awakenings. Yada yada, right? But in essence, the post-transform was very similar, where you had a 4-turn cooldown, you had bind clear and awoken bind clear, and orb generation, right? And Dante's the same. Now, of course, his overall package is a little bit worse, but that being said, essentially the same, right? And he feels so amazing as a card, but it's like kind of sad because power creep and stuff made him kind of useless, right? So I don't know. I think it's cool. I dug them out of the depths of my box. There's so much stuff I haven't touched in there. Like, I'm sure if I did a box tour, I'd be like, wait, I have this card in my box? I didn't know that. So yeah, I don't know. I felt it really cool. So I think one thing to note is that my team, again, doesn't use Belial, right? Now, I kind of want to talk about Belial as a card. She is an amazing cleric, right? A 5-turn full cleric with a suicide attached, but she also has heal TPA to offset that, right? She is slappable on a lot of different teams and has value as an off-color coverage for various teams. My problem with her is that she doesn't do any damage, right? And again, I said damage is the name of the game. The damage is literally a requirement. Now, if you don't deal 12 billion damage, if you can't deal 13 billion damage a turn, there's nothing you can do, right? So Belial, though he does a lot of things great, he fails to address that damage component well. And I know teams can, build the rest of the team around damage, but I think he's overrated just a little bit. Like, he's great. I think he's great, don't get me wrong, but I also think he's a little bit overrated. And that's just me, of course. You're feel free to disagree. It's like, oh, you gotta be joking, Lumon. You have no idea. Belial's the greatest thing to happen since Nautilus, yada yada yada. Okay, cool. You can disagree with me in the comments, right? I just think that both Rosalyn and Belial are just a tad bit overrated. That's my personal feeling. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm kind of curious because it's like, I know a lot of people think Rosalyn's amazing, but after trying her out in different content, I just don't feel like she's that great. Like, I really don't think so. Like, if we're gonna compare, right? I mean, you have Nautilus, the gold standard, and he does the same damage, but he also has the consistency. So that, honestly, that's kind of what I'm looking for. It's consistency, right? I want consistency in my builds. I don't want my build to fail in the first 2 floors half the time. Because guess what? It just feels like ranking, Menu quit floor 1. GG. So, I don't know. That's my take, right? Of course, you can always differ, right? You guys have your own opinions, and I totally respect that. That's how I feel about it. I just don't think Rosalyn's that good. So, yeah, with that, that's all I got. Hopefully you guys enjoy the clear. I definitely had a blast. I didn't get Dark Albert, but I did get Blue Albert, and I killed him and got his gem. Feels good, man. So now I have Blue Albert, probably the best blue cleric in the game, and I'm hoping to make some more Royal Oak content, more Natsuru stuff. So yeah, I'm excited for that. So look out for that in the future. So yeah, thanks guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the clear. It definitely was really cool to see this team get to the end and get the dub. And you know what? At the end of the day, it worked. So Rosalyn's cool, just not as cool as I hoped she'd be. I hope you guys enjoy. I feel like I'm spinning in circles. I feel like, oh my god, I'm gonna end the video and then I have something to say, like, oh, the team build was so cool, and then I try to end the video again and I have something else to say. So okay, let's end it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time. Good luck and have fun.